Okay.
All right. I'll call this meeting of the Grand Marais Library Board of Trustees to order. It's 5 p.m. Thank you all for being here. We'll go around and do introductions. I'm Sarah McManus, board chair.
Anna Limbier, trustee.
Nancy Jaguar, trustee. Sue McClone, trustee.
Kevin Moore, trustee.
Ryan Lang, librarian. Mike Gary, city councilor, representing the city here on the library line.
Amanda St. John, library director.
Thank you. All right, so no visitors today, just us. For the consent agenda, we have today's agenda, the minutes from last month, thank you Ryan, and the payment of bills. Any changes to the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I do need to, after you second.
Okay, wait.
Or he's just saying, oh, no, I apologize.
The minutes from last time,
Yeah,
list me
yeah.
as being present, but I was in Arizona.
And this me is
Well,
being
in
gone,
spirit,
which my
think.
body
I
was
was
here,
here in spirit, but,
Yes, we felt you.
okay, so,
I was trying to channel.
I don't know, do I need to move that be amended, or?
Yes.
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 Oh, okay, I so move.
I'll second.
And add me in there.
Place you.
Oh,
I will start all over again and say as amended.
I move that we approve the consent agenda
As
as amended.
My pen isn't
Perfect.
working.
I have a spare. Thank
There
you.
you go.
All right, so we have a motion from Nancy and a second from Michael.
That's the other way around.
A motion from Michael and a second from Nancy. Any further discussion? All those in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. Amanda, you have an update for us.
Oh, sure. We are working on replacing the staff computers this year, and all of those but one have been completed. They're installed. We used a cloning technique so that the working environment is as familiar as it could be from our old ones, and it's going very smoothly. Outside here by the retainer wall, a couple of years back, we had a large tree come down, and I've been working with Aaron in Parks and Rec to get the root ball up, and that is finally out. We've got wood chips down, and then they're making a plan for putting more trees, some kind of somethings out there where the old one was or nearby. It's not library property. It is this chunk of city land, but I certainly like to advocate for it to be maintained, and so that is happening. Also, my peers in building maintenance came by and blew the debris off of all of our sidewalks and our handicap parking, so we're getting fresher out there. With the landscaping tentatively planned to start with the reclamation of our garden out front here about the third week of May.
Good.
So all of that under spring cleaning. I went ahead and did our, what do you call this, our ad, if you will, in the Cook County Community Programs booklet again. And this year, everything's in full color and it just looks really fantastic.
Nice.
Last year I heard almost nothing about this circular, but this year people are letting me know that they've received it, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's Elisa, but what's the name of her business? Who's doing the gardening?
It is Taproot Landscape,
That's what it is.
Landscaping. Alyssa Burns?
Yeah.
Okay. This wasn't ready to be a memo in the board packet, but to close the communication loop on community foundations money, Duluth Superior was not able to get back to me in time for this meeting. They're transitioning all of their software and will get back to us shortly, but St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation wanted us to know that. Let me say it correctly. So we have a fund balance with the St. Paul Minnesota Foundation Fund that is about $47,000. You can see that in the communication in your board packet. That money is not spendable. It is kept in perpetuity, and every year we receive a spendable amount that is 5% of the fund balance taken over the last 21 quarters, which this year equaled $1,500 thereabouts. And so that money, when we're looking at all of our financial health, that $1,500 goes into the 215 every year, and it's part of that approximately $5,000 growth that I see happen annually. So hopefully that's clear. And then I can put something in the next packet about the Duluth Superior situation, which will be a little different because that refund check that we would ordinarily get every year, boards prior asked that be resubmitted to the fund. And so there's a larger chunk there, but it functions, I think, similarly. That is my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Amanda? All right, moving on to communications, we have the St. Paul, Minnesota Fund statement and the letter I sent to the library friends to thank them for their very generous donation to the library. It was really wonderful of them.
It was a good letter. Thank you for doing that. Yes,
Thank
it is.
And then under new business, we have the bylaws. We had mentioned at a previous meeting that we wanted to review them and see if there were changes we wanted to make or just to have them all fresh in our mind.
Well, when we talked about looking at the bylaws, we were wondering what exactly our powers are, because the bylaws say that we hire the library director and we draw up we are responsible for the budget, which in fact isn't really true. The city is responsible for it. So the question was raised: are we an administrative board? Are we a advisory board?
Mm-hmm.
But I did some research because I'm that kind of nerd, and what I discovered actually last night or yesterday afternoon, and I called Amanda all excited about it, and I didn't bring it with me. And did you get it? I took a look at different boards, and I looked at the Hennepin County Library Board, and it was very interesting because what they basically say is they have it. Let me see if I can say this in an articulate manner. They start out right at the beginning saying the County Board of Commissioners, because in this case it's the county, they do X, and the County Library Board does Y. So here's what not that we're going to do it the same way, but the Board of Commissioners, the County Board of Commissioners, maintains the system of public libraries, determines the location of the libraries. It's a big system. Levies taxes, directs, operates, and manages the county library system, and appoints members to the board. Now, the board, and they specify by state law and then by county law, but essentially what the board does is determine the contents of the collection. They're responsible for the use of library meeting rooms. They make recommendations to the county administrator about the appointment or removal of the library director. And that's kind of falls into what we were talking about when we talked about having some say in the evaluation of the director and the hiring of a director. And then further, They establish rules governing library operation. They review the operating budget for submission to the Board of Commissioners. They develop a long-range plan. They accept and manage gift and trust funds. So,
That's like us, that part's like us.
exactly.
It's like this.
And so my sense is we should be amending or changing or rewriting, however you want to put it, our bylaws in to basically say this is what the city does and this is what we do, so that it's very clear. And so we're an administrative board, but with some advisory functions. And so that was the first thing. And then some of the others, like the order of business at regular meetings, we should just change that so it reflects what we actually do. And then it also, our bylaws talk about committees. Committees of one or more members each for such specific purposes. Well, the problem with this is, I think, the open meeting law. If we have committee meetings of 2 or 3 members or however, I suppose they could be recorded or videotaped, but we're a small board. Do we really need to even have committees is my question. So something
That's a
to think
historical
about.
thing. We did have committees until a few years ago.
Well, if we don't do it anymore, we
Yep.
should take it out.
Or do we leave it in as an option for the future?
Yeah.
It says
But
that-
if we leave it in as an option for the future, maybe we should also make a note about open meeting law so that people don't just say, oh, okay. You and Sarah go out and rewrite and then you and I meet in a coffee shop and we violate the law. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do, yes.
Okay.
I think it's a given that the library board will follow statute.
I'm sure it is, but I don't know. It's just a thought.
If we leave the committees in there, we should have.
If
it.
we leave the
Well,
committee, yeah, we should just make a note that they are subject to the open meeting law. Duties of the library director are fine. I didn't see anything else that was particularly. But I think we really, really need to make, the really important change is we need to be specific about the city does this and we do that.
Well, the county.
And the county, if that's the case too.
County smiles.
It is
and
the
pays
case.
bill.
Yeah, well,
What's that?
whatever.
County smiles and pays the bill.
I'm still, yeah. I'm still trying to figure out Grand Marais.
Yeah.
I haven't lived here for my whole life. But whatever, we should make it very clear.
Absolutely.
And then we know what we're supposed to do, and the city knows what it's supposed to do. And when it comes to, well, I'm sure we're not going to fire the library director, but when it comes to hiring the next director, if that happens, or evaluating the current
I'll be-
director, that
I'll
we
be
have
long
a
gone
say.
depression.
Yeah, that we have a say in that. I think that's very important.
So where do we want to reword this?
I think that we should just have let's see, we have Article 1, the name of the organization is the Board of Trustees. Article 2 could actually be that who does what, and then we would just go for the rest, renumber them as it were. And then let's not, even though it's a little picky, but let's not forget the order of business at regular meetings and just change that so it
Update that
reflects,
girl.
yes, so that it reflects what we actually do. And with the committees, then just say if committees are appointed, they follow open meeting law. And we could actually quote the statute, or not quote it, but cite it. Yes, thank you.
So since we don't have committees right now, we can't pass this off to them. So we would each write to Amanda our suggestions
We
or
could.
the changes in the bylaws, and then she can compile them
Mm-hmm.
and bring them to us to probably
Sure.
next time.
It's a good way.
So we're actually not making huge changes, except that first one is a huge change because it it tells us who we are. Because these don't, this, what we have now doesn't, it's,
Right, no.
doesn't tell us who we are, what we do.
We don't have an annual meeting.
That's right. Oh, good call. Oh,
Where was that?
Oh, I see right there.
oh no, this
That-
is,
that
this is,
isn't
this
theirs.
is not ours. This is the Hennepin,
Yeah.
this is Hennepin County's.
Well, it's the annual meeting in the sense that that's when we elect officers.
Yeah.
It's the organizational
Yeah,
meeting
but we
when
don't
set
have
the
it, yeah,
dates.
but we don't have it in here. That he was looking over here.
I was looking at that
That
one. I'm
The
like,
Hennepin
I
County.
didn't remember. I didn't see.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was very glad I found this. It's, I looked around and a lot of the smaller libraries around here either have, and when I did find them, the bylaws were kind of sketchy at best, or I couldn't find them, and I wanted to see, this was interesting to me, as I say, I'm a nerd. I was looking for the Duluth bylaws and I couldn't find them. I know they have them because they say we have bylaws, and I'm looking for the button that says press here to see, but I didn't find them, so. But we maybe don't need them. We just do our own, and I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, thank you for looking into that for us. That's
Oh, you were
helpful.
welcome. I do it because I'm lazy ultimately. I don't like to reinvent the wheel. If somebody else has an idea, I'm happy to steal it.
You said from 1993. We've stuck with the same bylaws for a long time.
Well, I think weren't these, oh yeah, adopted 1993, you were right. Yeah, it's time to update.
Mhm.
And I don't know in the wording if we have to say something about under the Joint Powers Act, blah, 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 if we need to do that.
It might be good to have, city or county attorney look it over and just
Sure.
say like, this is what we need, or we might wanna add that, or whatever.
Right, and we're not taking away anybody's power because I doubt that the city council really wants to go into things like the collection development program and what that's going to be. I mean, I can't really, I don't know, but I can't see you discussing that at your next meeting. Or other kinds of things.
No, yeah, we leave it here.
So if we go get edits to Amanda by, what's the week before the meeting next? Would be-
I have my phone in my pocket. The 14th or something.
Amanda, I'm gonna toss that back to you.
Yeah, sure thing. And I have your comments from today. This counts too.
Oh, good.
Is it the 14th? Yeah. So, if I could get them by the 15th.
15th, okay.
Oh, wait. I'm in April.
Oh my gosh.
Hold on, let me
already
do it
May
again.
15th.
That was April. 14. Make it Wednesday the 14th so that
Okay.
I have time to get the board packet out, hopefully on the 15th.
$4.59 or $11.59.
So probably on this timeline, I would be getting your edits at that point. I would be putting some of my own thoughts together as well and presenting that back to the board. If I, given that timeline, it would be the meeting after that we would have the possibility of the administrator's perspective.
Mhm.
Okay? Yeah, okay.
Do we have someone who gonna bring this to the county and do you want to bring this to the city lawyer just to, or connect with the city to see if they have any suggestions for edits?
I think we would do that after we have ours.
I think
Okay.
that makes
Then we
sense.
would-
Come
I
up with
mean,
our
but it would
revision.
probably make sense for Amanda to make that.
Should
Say,
we,
hey, here's what we've got.
Amanda, would you be thinking of actually doing like a full-blown first draft that we could look at and then
Make it sound like I'm starting from scratch.
you
but,
aren't. I mean, most of it's gonna
Cobbling
be the
together
same.
anything gonna say that
Yeah.
takes work, effort.
Yeah, so I'll come forward with what you've presented, and anything else that I can think of that matches for us to look at. Based on the comments that I'm hearing, one thing that I would say is after reviewing the joint powers agreement, it sounds to me that there is a very clear understanding between the city and the county that this is a city library that is receiving 50% of funds, and therefore all of our residents in the county will receive free public access to the library through their tax payments. And so I think we're really looking at, are we in agreement with how the city wants to operate?
Right.
With the exception of the joint powers agreement calling out, the board will put together its own budget. It says, the library board shall develop its proposed operating budget and a budget for capital expenditures for each each calendar year. So that is already clarified
Yes.
by the joint powers agreement. And then these are the other pieces, can be, I think that can go through the city.
Right. Well, if it's clear, just as in those bylaws from Hennepin County, they specify that somewhere that the library board develops the budget, and then the budget is approved by the city
And it does say in
or
here,
by the county rather, because it is a county board.
yeah, it does say in here that you develop it and propose it, and then the city and the county approve it.
Right. And that's basically what we do anyway, but I think it would be very good to spell these things out. As I said to Amanda, maybe this is a little over dramatic way of putting it, but in 10 years when none of us are on the board, or 25 when we're all dead, people who come after us will at least have a blueprint for how to operate.
You think she's over 60?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Sounds like my daughter. You might
No,
as well
but,
be
but,
all-
but you see what I'm saying, because we will not always be on the board,
No, for sure.
whether we're over 60 or not.
Gummy nor applesauce.
So, but I mean, I do take that very seriously.
We want to leave it in good shape.
Absolutely. So people have a blueprint, and they may want to change it after us, but at least they'll know how things operated when we were here. And I think that's important. We've had some stuff. I'm on the board of the Grand Marais condos, and this was a very minor thing, but apparently in that case the bylaws had been changed, but nobody actually changed the copy, nor did they tell me. And I was trying to deal with a pet policy with a new owner, and I had absolutely. So I went to the bylaws, and then I elaborated this, and I was told, oh, no, we don't do that anymore. So that's very minor, but you see, it could be major in a case like this.
Okay, I think I know where to go next.
Okay, somewhere warm and nice.
We're getting there.
Another 2 months, probably.
Okay, under old business, we have a review of the strategic plan. We're keeping this on the agenda just to keep it in the forefront of our mind. I don't think we need any action tonight on it unless anyone has anything they need. All right, and then we have the emergency exit proposals.
So we still have 2 quotes. We have Donald Home and we have CMC. Johnson Wilson, I invited their quote. They came on site, they assessed the site, and said they were in town today and intend to get a quote out to us next week. That's where that is.
Well, my one comment, and I will preface it by saying that I really don't know a lot about building. But the thing that jumped to my eye when I'm looking at the quotes was the CMC quote includes things like permitting. And I didn't see that in the other quote. And I don't know if that's something that is important and should be in the quote.
Probably, it's probably part of their, normal, they probably just didn't write it down. Because they have to present the drawings, and
Okay.
they have to get the approval, so I'm sure they have to have to do the,
Right.
permits.
CMC was just much more detailed.
Yes. I do like, and I guess just because that's the way my mind works, is what it includes and what it excludes. That is very clear.
Does the city require permits on its own buildings?
I would think so.
It's in Minnesota.
Well,
Oh.
yeah, some of them are gonna have to be approved because, drawings, the electric inspector has to come. And I don't know, we're not gonna do any plumbing probably, but the plumber has to get checked. So it has to be a permit, I think.
Well, I think we discovered it's never cheap.
No. The proposals are pretty much the same. They're within
What else?
a couple of thousand.
About
Yes.
1,000. It's about 1,000.
So I guess if this were my house as a homeowner, because I have dealt with some of this as a homeowner in my past, I guess I would want to know if they've worked with other people in town or in the county and what those other clients' experience was. So that's just an idea.
So I'm not sure what you want me to do with that, but what I can provide so far is that Donald Home Construction did the roof on the new city building.
Okay.
And CMC Construction is working. It's a partner that often works with the group called Gardner, whom David Mills personally recommended.
Okay. So
So he's
they-
familiar.
they
I'm
both
assuming
seem
he's
fine.
familiar with them.
Yeah, they both seem fine then. That's basically,
And we're waiting for a third quote, you said.
Johnson Wilson. Yep.
Did your interactions with either of these go equally well, or?
Both of these interactions were very positive. Mhm.
has anyone worked with Johnson Wilson that we know? The city?
The
for
county
example?
is about to
County?
work with them. I think the jail is being rebuilt, and they're going to be doing several $1 million worth of projects in the area. They were clear that their interest in this project is only if it aligns with the other projects happening in the area.
Sounds much in.
Okay, well, I think that tells us something right there.
It tells you you're 200 miles from.
Yeah, it tells
Yeah.
us that we'll wait and wait probably for it to happen.
Oh, maybe not.
Well,
I mean, they're here. I think that was their point.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, they're
They're
up here.
here
They're going
now.
to be here for this period. So, yeah, if we can slip it in, we'll do it. If we can't.
Yeah.
But getting the quote, I think, would be good because if
Sure.
it was substantially different, then we'd be like, well, okay.
All right.
You're
Should we
our
wait
boy.
to find out then if the next one? And
I think that would make sense. Don't you?
I would want to, but
yeah, I,
Three quotes.
yeah, that feels fair, especially since it seems like it's out there.
Okay.
Then if they're all about the same price and they all have good reputations, then I think maybe a determining factor might be timeline. So just a thought.
We did talk about last month that we are short on funds to pay for this.
Oh,
So something we might also want to consider
Ah,
is that we don't have available in the $215,000 $50,000.
okay.
So,
So what does that?
Did they like books?
borrow books while they're working.
Yeah, you never know.
So that puts a little pressure on us as far as deciding what to do with this.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Thank you, Sarah.
Also for me, for direction from the board. So the direction that I have from our strategic plan is that safety response and facility modification is a clear priority. And that the two most significant improvements that we're looking at are the emergency exit and the security camera installation. I'd also mentioned that I've looked into a little bit about the internal remote locking door at the front. I would prioritize them in that order: emergency exit, security cameras, and remote locking doors, given what our experience is working in the library and what we're trying to achieve for the public. What direction would you give me if the money is not available in the 215, or what should we be doing?
Would we want to make the cameras then a priority and go that way?
Well, last time, didn't we kind of decide we couldn't really afford the cameras?
How much were the cameras?
Well, we were
Cameras
gonna go
coming in
for,
around.
Are they,
to see what we could get.
are,
Yeah.
are they more or less? I'm sorry.
They're less than the door, but they're
Okay.
still in the $10,000 to $15,000 range,
Okay,
which is also a stretch for the
To get the
215.
professional setups, but there's also a quote in here for less than that.
okay.
What do we have options for in approaching city and county for grants? A type of grant on this, or I mean, they might have reserve funds, they might have places.
How does the 215 get money into it? Where does all that money come from? I forget.
It's mainly gifts directly to the
Mainly
library.
gifts, so it's not that in the fall we'd get more money, so.
Right. It says,
Okay.
I should have brought my notes from last month, but we went over what the replenishment
Yeah.
rate was, and I think it was around 5,000 annually.
Okay.
So it's not going to.
No, I understand.
I think looking into grant options is a good idea. I did a little Googling. There's just the Minnesota building. What was it? The Minnesota Library building?
The library construction grant.
Library construction grant.
There's also
And,
probably some local grantors that
Would be interested.
yeah, well, sure, I'm sure they would be.
Well, let's just spend a moment on alternative fund sources. If you go the route of grants, that's fine to do. The library construction grant has a deadline of May 17, and it is a 50-50 deal where you have to find 50% of the funding and have matching funds. Their criteria is for improvement projects that can include renovating an existing building, including and addressing hazardous to health or safety conditions. I think we could make a healthy argument for the two doors and put the projects together separate. I mean, go for both projects if we're doing it this way. I don't know how the security cameras factor in, and so I'd have questions, and I don't know if that's gonna manifest on this timeline. So it's more likely that if we pursue the Minnesota Library Construction Grant, the feasible timeline would be next year. I'm looking into grants through FEMA, since we did work with CISA to get the vulnerability assessment. I'm striking out there so far. For example, there was a nonprofit security grant program that I was really excited about, but it's specifically for high-risk urban areas with positive proof of being a target for terrorism. So it's highly specific. I'm just getting started with grants.gov.
Well, we did have a bomb threat last year. We were targeted.
But we're not high-risk
not in
urban.
urban area.
But thanks for reminding me, because it's possible we'll fit another structure.
Well, that gets to be one of the discussions at church about what is and what isn't, because I got shot down once about it, but we have had several murders in the county and all that. You know, it's not a pristine place that some people think it was. And you hit people who say, "Oh, it's Grand Marais, I don't have to block my car." Well, you know, that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's changing. And you know, from my perspective, it's an urban area because it's a city. You know, I mean, it may not be. Or I'm thinking more of the metro area.
Okay.
It's so metrocentric about a lot of things that I have to deal with, but it's still more like them than it is in Albion Township in Wright County, where I lived for 35 years, where I could stand on the corner and talk haying with somebody. I can't do that here. I don't know about milking. You know, that's world. This isn't.
So going back to city and county grants, there's not really a such thing. There's a levy increase, I think, is the conversation that would happen.
Yeah.
You would start by wanting to talk to the city or the county about the funds that you already have and why you're choosing not to spend those while asking for more tax dollars. So that would be a challenge in that approach or that strategy. I can keep working on looking for grants, and I would accept any help from trustees researching that. I think there's one other.
I can send you some because we're looking for construction at the church also. You know, so
Okay.
done a little bit. Of course, it's a church, and so you have different.
The Johnson Foundation.
Yeah.
So Johnson Foundation,
Okay.
the Duluth Community Foundation has a couple of grants, but I don't think they fit the project. It's like community opportunity for sense of belonging, and I can't remember what the other one is. I'm not sure that this project is ideal for that. I would think if we were looking for a grant, I'd be looking for something that would do all three pieces.
The emergency door, the locking doors, and the cameras.
Although we understand our internal priorities, and I can
The other way around.
prioritize pursuing a grant that would be an exact match for an emergency exit, for example. I think we're talking about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Just one quick comment. Is it worthwhile these days pursuing any kind of federal grant?
that's
You gotta
a
try.
Pardon?
You have to try.
I guess.
But she's already looking at FEMA.
Yeah,
That's federal.
and FEMA's had a lot of cuts.
But
I don't,
But, you know,
I don't mean to
Mostly
be,
staffing, but not.
yeah, I don't mean to be pessimistic, you know.
Oh, you got a good reason.
Pardon?
You've got good reasons.
yeah.
Yeah, I suppose we could try. It's, you know, I also think about time.
Well, thinking about time, this is not a discussion anyone wants to have, but this door is the perfect door and it's what everybody wants. But should we be rethinking how to exit this building a cheaper way? Like through an exit window? I don't know. This has turned out to be pretty darn expensive and we don't have this money.
I think that's a really good point.
Well, I hate to bring it up because the door is what everybody wants. But maybe we don't always get what we want.
What?
I heard that somewhere.
One of the challenges with the window is accessibility.
Oh, there's
Yes.
tons of challenges. I know what's wrong with it. But if we can't afford the perfect one,
It's a less perfect solution.
yeah.
So I have explored the idea of an egress window with a few agencies, entities. These windows, I believe, are too narrow, and the window would have to be cut bigger. The wall would have to be cut anyway.
Yeah.
And the architect was explaining that these windows are not ideal. When we talk about who we would want to evacuate, we serve a large population of elderly and of very small children, and the egress window has to be a certain level off the floor to actually step out. And so again, I think that was part of the reason of like cutting the wall. If you're cutting the wall, you might as well put in a door. I can go back and try to get some quotes on egress windows if that's what you'd like.
I don't know, I just think that this is looking like it's harder than we thought it would be.
I think it's more worth putting some time into grant research than
Yeah,
new
right.
quotes.
And then if we bomb there, we go backwards.
Some additional homework for us as trustees is to do a little.
And
we
we just
can
put
find
an
some.
axe beside one of the windows and say in case of emergency.
Big rock.
There you go. A little cheaper.
Okay. Because I hope I didn't shut that down. I'm
No.
open to pursuing, but I've already done some preliminary, and that's just kind of the feedback
did-
I'm getting.
When you were looking at the window before, because I remember once you started talking, I was like, oh yeah, that's right, you were talking about that before. Did we get anywhere near an idea of like how much it would be? at
For
all?
what?
For the window?
No.
No, we didn't get that critical. Okay.
You know, like so if you're talking to Glenn Sanders from the CISA, he says, you know, skip that. Don't try to get people out. Try to keep people from getting in. Put in the doors over there. If I was talking to the architect, they would say, if you're cutting, you're going to have to cut something. You might as well put the door in. I'm talking to staff. It's like, who are we trying to get out of this building? It's ourselves, these elderly, these young. And are we going to actually be able to use an egress? These windows can crank open, like you can crank a window open and smash the screen out, but you're very exposed while you're doing it, and it takes a long time. So again, that lever release window is ideal.
For the time being, maybe you should and staff should think about how they'd jump out that window if they had to, because this door thing isn't going to happen very soon if we're waiting for grants and
And I think run, hide, fight was a first pass at practicing escaping the building in different ways or addressing a threat in different ways, and how long does it take to get to an emergency exit. There's a repeat of staff training happening this year through the city with the sheriff, but it won't be in this particular building. So Sue, your comment was drills, like staff
yeah,
practicing.
maybe because once we're waiting for grants for this door, if we can't just say we've got the money, let's do it, then we're not fixing this problem very soon.
No. And we can't tell threatening people, don't threaten us until we get the door.
Right.
Okay, so to put a wrap around the conversation, continue to get the quote from Johnson Wilson, pursue no further quotes for egress or emergency exit doors, find grant opportunities to help with the cost of the expenses. Where possible, try to get all three projects into the grant and continue to report back.
And continue drills.
And drills.
Yes.
Yes.
I thought for the windows as they are is maybe have a couple of steps or some kind of a thing that you can walk up and walk down that can maybe, so you can throw it on the outside and people can step on it and out.
Step posing as a bench or something.
Yeah.
These windows are too narrow.
These
That one right behind you is
these are
could get a person out fairly easily.
two wide ones. Not perfect, but
Yeah.
And not doable for some people.
Oh, you just grab it.
it's not. We've got an ideal plan. We just don't have any money.
Okay. So I don't know that we need to review the security camera system proposals. we'll keep them for future reference.
Did we get anything from Rowan?
We did.
Mhm.
Yes.
From who?
Sundew Tech.
From, yeah.
Oh, from Sandhu?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. It's in here.
His was
7,000.
8,000.
So yeah, that better.
Better, yes.
There's no transportation cost.
Mhm.
Yeah, most of the
No walk here.
Yeah.
yeah, most of the cost is the labor, and saving some cameras doesn't really shave off the price. You still have the labor and the recording box that are
Mhm.
the most significant cost. Just reporting back on storing the information in the cloud, that's expensive. That's where all the licensing fees, not all of it, but the licensing fees with the Pro Tech quote are coming from. That would be, what is it, for 3 years? It looks like, what is it, $3,000 or $4,000. So every 3 years you'd have that recurring fee to store in the cloud. And Sundew was explaining that if we tried to do that where you're backing up any of the on-site data to the cloud, you're going to have that level of fee, whether it's, from this agency or that agency, whether it's part of the quote in the system or it's added on, you're going to have that level of a fee. One way that you could hybridize is to insert a couple of webcams that are reporting to the cloud. So you would like record just 2 cameras to the cloud and everything else to a box. But you're still going to be adding to your cost. And then you also asked me to explore home security systems. Enno had mentioned the Blink outdoor wireless home security systems can be purchased for about $650 online at Amazon. You get 8 cameras for that, and then you have to pay a $100 per year subscription fee for this, storing the information in the cloud.
It's very cheap.
Or you can,
And
save it to your own computer hard drive.
Yeah, local.
okay,
Which we do. We don't pay the $100. I just have it on a little thumb drive that I clear every week.
oh, thank you. And then just Jeremy heard the board's concerns about the expense of this system and just felt it was important to emphasize that the high quality 4K cameras that he's recommending for the security system is really an essential component for capturing the detail necessary for effective security. And if that is what you're trying to accomplish is security, you should invest in the professional level camera. But that's his perspective for you to consider.
With the cameras at the church are 1080p.
1080, yeah, 1080 PG or whatever it's called here.
So what kind of detail do you? You can tell when I come in.
Yeah. Yeah, I recognize your hat. You can see faces. You can. I don't get car license numbers when they drive by in the parking lot. But it's not 4K, but it is high quality. It's not the stuff you see on bank. It's better than what you see on, when the cops are watching it and all you see is black and white and their faces fuzzy and they blow it up and you can't see it. No, this is much better quality than that. And since it's residential, it says 2-year battery life.
Yeah,
but that's residential. I change out the batteries about every 3 weeks on average. But I have rechargeables. And so so they're $35 for 8, and so I just about every week I switch out 1 or 2, and the next week I switch out 1 or 2, and then the next week I don't, and then the next week I switch out 4, and then the next, so it's so that I mean it takes, I probably spend 20 minutes or 20 minutes every week on batteries and storage clearage. You know, going through it, I think it's usually just deer and that kind of stuff in the evening, and cats. I have 2 deer and 2 cats, or 1 cat that make regular appearances. But just having them up there and having the outdoor lights for the pond, and I think it does make a difference.
Well, Jeremy's seems more reasonable than the very expensive quotes.
Yes.
So maybe we have to decide if we can get the money in a grant type thing and buy the professional. And if we can't, we can come up with a Blink, or we have an Alfred or something on a short-term basis with hopes of getting something quality
Well,
later.
as we are looking to do it as a combination as a grant, which may not happen until the beginning of the end of the year, probably at the soonest. I'm going to throw out. We have 7 board members. If each of us chips in $100, that at least we'll have the cameras up.
I'm in.
Not to put any pressure on anybody, but
I think so if you're respectfully, I think you have $1,000 that you can allocate if you're invested in implementing a home security system temporarily.
We would need someone to install it.
It's easy.
it really is.
I
do not
put it in.
I don't think Brian would have any trouble with it at all.
Ryan
Or-
has a lot
or-
to do.
Yeah. All right. I move that we purchase the link system as a temporary while we wait for grants and funding for a permanent one.
Or whatever system.
I mean, if we're talking a professional one, we're paying $3,000 every couple of years to do storage and stuff like that. Paying $700 over 8 months is an equivalent expense. In my view, it's
And you might learn something about what you need and
yeah.
what
and how
it
you want,
picks up,
where you want
and
the,
you come in with a lot more expertise after using this for the better part of a year. I think it's worth a try. And you'll go through the summer knowing what's going on and where you wish you had cameras.
Might have
We
some
moved ours
value-
around a
you
couple
might have
times.
some value on the secondary market also.
Yes.
As we're done. Might find somebody else want to use it.
Okay, and with this, I would intend to return, so I can purchase the system, but I would intend to return with a proposed policy for transparency to the public that they're being recorded on the premises, and what they need to do to request access to any information if it exists, so on.
We have a motion. Do we have support?
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion?
and where the money's coming from.
We could do it from the 215.
You can do it from either, but yes.
Yeah. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
And as for a transparency policy, I'd like to propose again that we look at maybe what some other libraries do.
Sounds good.
Again, laziness. Let's borrow when we can.
Efficiency.
The good kind.
they call it
Mm.
extent materials when you look at what's already been made.
Yes.
I
That's a
move
good way of
we adjourn.
All right.
I've got next meeting at 6 o'clock.
Thank you,
Cook
Anna.
County
Thanks,
Compassion.
Anna.
Come and learn.